Hey guys, how we doing? So I've just finished up my analysis for the weekend. So I have a rule that unless I have a pair on my watch list before the week begins, I cannot trade that pair. So unless I do my analysis the weekend, plan my trade, I don't deserve to be in that trade, let's say. So this is what my watch list is looking like this week, and I'll go through them all now. So I have my template to plan my trades. So for each of them, then we can go through them. So on Euro USD, looking for a safety trade long. So in terms of market maker model, we have from the low of the month, level 1, level 2, anticipating level 3. So ideally, we have an imbalance below price, support resistance level here on the daily, and the EMAs. So this is a beautiful area to buy from if we do come lower. Here's it on the 4-hour. Beautiful. So level 1, 1350 cross. Level 1 here, level 2, anticipating level 3. Again, we'll only be trading this unless if we come down. Here's just it zoomed in. So we can see we do have a flip zone here. So a flip zone is basically just something that it's basically an area where we'll put in a peak, or let's say, so every time we have a range, we will put in a peak formation high and a peak formation low. One of those will hold. So here's our peak formation high and here's our peak formation low. So this is an area that can potentially hold. This would be a lower time frame area that I'd be looking for a trade from. But on the higher time frames, we have, as we just covered, the imbalance below price and support resistance zone. So always, this is what we want to do. Want to say, or if this then that statements. So what do I need to see to take a trade? So I say we have an imbalance below price and a flip zone. So here's my potential setups. So if we break below the flip zone, I would love to see the imbalance revisited, and obviously a lower time frame entry. That'll be my A plus setup. My A setup would be printing a W on the 1 hour and 4 hour EMAs, and then a bread and butter setup would just be a lower time frame entry at the bottom of the box. So that would be if the flip zone held. So just a 1 minute entry here, and then that one, there's potential for that one to actually fail because we have more areas of interest below price. Cool, so that's Euro USD. US 30 then. So we have a short bias. We had a false break of the high of the year. And then on the daily, we had a lower low followed by an inside bar. So an inside bar is one of my signal days. When we get an inside bar, I want to be monitoring that pair the next day for a potential explosive move. And it might be the next day, it could be the next day after that. So I said Monday or Tuesday could give a sell high opportunity. So on the 1 hour chart, so we can see we've come up. So this was the high of the year, false broke that. Beginning of the new month, pumped up and gone sideways. So here was our range, and we had a false break of the range followed by a lower low. So my bias is short. So we can see here, this is the inside bar. So Thursday, large range day, Friday, inside bar. So basically this means coiled volume and explosions come out of coils. So here we are on the 4 hour. So we can see pump, sideways, false break, lower low. Now we're having a fractal version of that. Pump, sideways, false break, lower low. So I'm looking for shorts until or unless we close above this area. If we close above this area here, my bias will switch to longs. Then in terms of an actual entry, so we have flip zone here and we have the range here. So I'll only be taking a trade, excuse me, if we attack the top side of the range. So this is the daily support resistance area. Here is the flip zone, and here's the range. So we want ideally for price to pump up into here and give us a lower time frame entry. And again, ideally it's past equities hour. And then it'll get invalidated if we close above that structure zone. Super, super simple. So again, with all of these, plan trade, trade plan. GBP/CHF. So we had the low of the month here, new month opened, and we immediately went long. So now we have this area here. So I'll be looking for longs if we pull back to this area here. So it's the top of the range. Very simple. Very similar to EU. So we have push up. This is level 1. So level 1, this is looking like it may not pull back. So to me, this is level 1 behavior and price is still coiling higher. So honestly, I would not be surprised if we just stayed in around this range and continued higher. But if we do come lower, then I will look for a long entry, either printing a W on the EMAs or printing a W on the daily support resistance zone. But as I said, this could potentially just keep stomping higher. GBP CAD, very similar. So I had a beautiful trade on GCAD this week. So initial entry here. So I'll show you on the 4 hour better. So the month came down, low of the month, false break, sideways, higher high. So again, the same as we just went through on US 30, but this is just inverted. So false break of a monthly extreme and then going sideways. So I took my first entry on the Monday and we stayed going sideways. So again, explosions come out of coils. So once we coiled back into the EMAs, added another position with a much better risk reward, much tighter stop, and then we got the explosion on Thursday. Friday we continued higher. I was out on Thursday, and now this is what I'm looking at. So we level 1 long. I will only take a trade because we're at this daily support resistance zone. I'll only look to take a trade if we print a W on this is the 200 EMA, or we break and retest the daily zone. Super simple again. Bias is long. USD JPY, not looking at this right now. So we had a false break of this month, but we haven't had a daily break of structure yet. And on the 4 hour, we're actually in between the EMAs. So false break, we have a 4 hour break of structure, but we don't have a daily break of structure. So we have this structure area here. We're below the 50 EMA and we're above the 200 and 800. So I don't want to be trading this unless we break through and retest. So my bias is short, but it could still go long because we have a lot of support areas here. So this isn't one that I'm going to be looking to take at least on Monday or Tuesday. Then lastly, Euro NZD. So we had a false break of the high of the month and a lower low. So that's literally everything that I'm looking for when I'm scanning through my pairs to identify my watch list. I'm looking for false breaks at the highs of the month, followed by breaks of structure. So this looks like it's very close, but this is actually just higher than here. So we had a false break and then a lower low. So this has got potential. We're still above the 4 hour EMAs though. So it's not A star yet. But we on the 1 hour we have crossed, so the 13 and the 50 cross, and we're now below the EMA, at least the 50 EMA on the 1 hour. So what I like about this is we've had the false break of the high of the month, we have had the break of structure, and we have lots of space to target. So if we get a sell high opportunity, this can move fast and hard. So this is just it zoomed in, so we can see the pump, which creates a space. This is the first thing we want to look for. We want to have that initial impulse, long or short, but that impulsive move that creates space, and then for price to continue pumping up in the opposite direction to an extreme. For me, I'm pretty much just using monthly highs now. Weeklies work the same, but monthly there's more volume there, so it's more significant. False break of the monthly high and then a lower low. So now we're doing a fractal version of that. I would love to see a pump up to either one of these liquidity areas and then go sideways for a dump. But as I said, yeah, we're still on top of the H4 EMA, so it's not as A-star as some of the other setups. Cool. That is everything. That's all I'm looking at for this week. Yeah, for me, again, just to recap, doing this at the beginning of the week and really holding ourselves accountable to, unless we have added it to our watch list before the week, we do not deserve to be in that trade. And it's just a way of, one, ensuring that we do it, and then two, going into the week with clarity. Again, just plan, trade, plan. Keep it simple. Cool. All right, guys. Have an amazing week, and I'll catch you guys soon.